I call the meeting to order of the Washington County Board of Supervisors. Please join me in a moment of silent prayer and then the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call. We have a quorum. Supervisor Guzzi is excused. I'm going to go into the first order of business, which is a public hearing. Could the county clerk please read the notice of the public hearing? I'll get you. Okay.
Notice is hereby given that a public hearing will be held at a meeting of the Washington County Board of Supervisors in room 1019 of the Washington County Government Center, 432 East Washington Street, West Bend, Wisconsin, on Wednesday, June 9th, 2021 at 6 p.m. There will be heard and considered discontinuing a portion of County Trunk Highway D right-of-way in the southeast one-quarter section 30 T12 North, R18 East, Town of Wayne. That said action affects the title to the real estate abutting said right-of-way and more particularly described in the published legal notice, dated the 15th day of April, 2021.
Okay. Going to open the public hearing and take comments from the public. 3 minutes per person. The board does not comment at this time. Is there anyone wishing to speak to this? Anybody wishing to speak? Did you want to say anything about it, or? You're not obligated to if you don't want to.
I don't think so.
Okay. All right. Okay. Seeing no public comments, I will close the public hearing. Need a motion and a second from the board on Resolution 16. Motion by Peter Sarcey, Jody Schulteis, second. Any discussion? Oh, I'm sorry. Supervisor Conrath, sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I at least wanted the property owner to maybe share issues for this or against this. Can you maybe re-encourage her just to state a little something?
The public hearing's been closed, though?
Yeah, well, we're voting on it. It's discussion, so.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's part of my discussion, not to close the public hearing. If I'd like to give her a second chance.
Once the public hearing is closed, the public is not allowed to speak during the business meetings of the county board. A motion would have to be made, seconded, and then voted on.
But I thought we were just voting to close it.
No.
Oh, okay. Then I did light before you said that too, and you didn't catch me, Don.
Okay,
So.
sorry about that. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Which one is he on?
Hello, Scott Schmidt, Director of Public Works. We have been talking with the landowner. They are in favor of the discontinuance because what this does, we're able to give that land back to the landowner by doing this tonight. I remember a couple months ago, we removed the easements from several properties. This one actually was like a fee simple property that we have taken that was actually granted to the county. And so now this is actually giving that land back to that landowner. And they're actually looking at potentially purchasing some other land in that area as well to increase their lot size.
Okay, seeing no further discussion. Seeing we have no further discussion, we'll vote on this electronically. Okay. Yeah, it looks like it's locked up. You can't open it back up? Okay. Technical difficulties. We'll do a... You're good? All right. We'll do a voice vote on this. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes. Okay. Since I neglected to do this, I'm going to do the notice of meeting right now. This is a meeting of the Washington County Board of Supervisors. Prior to this meeting, public notice was given by posting a copy of the agenda in the office of the county clerk and emailing the agenda to the West Bend Daily News, which is the official newspaper. In addition, the agenda was emailed to CNI newspapers, Express News, Kewaskum Statesman, Milwaukee Journal Sentinel, WIBD, WMBZ Radio, and WTKM Radio. The above action is in conformity with the state of Wisconsin's open. Okay. Yeah, Supervisor Schleif, Supervisor Bossert. Any questions, discussion on consent? Hearing none. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Passes. Personal appearances, letters, and other communications. We have a pretty important VIP here today, Paul Roback. We're going to have a commendation of the Community Development Extension Educator, Extension of Washington County. It's Paul. I get to come down there with you.
All right, so everybody knows Paul. Everybody's head to the They don't clap it like that for us. Exactly. So Paul has been awarded again several times in the last 8 years that I've been here for the outstanding job he does. So we're going to give him a commendation today. Whereas the Washington County University of Wisconsin-Madison Division of Extension has a purpose to teach, learn, lead, and serve, connecting people and educational resources and engaging with them in transforming lives and communities. And whereas the National Association of Community Development Extension Professionals has awarded Paul Roback, Community Development Educator, their 2021 National Runner-Up for Excellence in Community Development. And whereas NACDEP, National Association for Community Development Extension Professionals, for those of you who like the acronyms read, advocates for community and economic development programming while educating and recognizing extension professionals who develop successful programs and expand resources to strengthen communities. And whereas Paul demonstrates the county value of collaboration by working with local government, civic organizations, nonprofit organizations, businesses, and community leaders to enhance local decision-making and help communities respond to new challenges and opportunities. Now I therefore, Josh Shulman, Washington County Executive, hereby commend Paul Roback for his commitment to distinguished efforts in positively contributing to the quality of life in Washington County and congratulate him on this meritorious achievement. Thank you. We've got an All-American in the room. You with that? Well, runner-up. No, runner-up, yeah. Thank you all. Thank you.
I think that's pretty special. That's the silver medal of the Olympics. So I think that's pretty special nationwide. So congratulations, appreciate it. Consideration upon request readings of resolutions and ordinances. 2021 Resolution 17, commendation of Ann Dorn, Human Services Department. She is not here, correct? Correct. Okay, could you please read the resolution? Let me get a motion. Supervisor Dice, Supervisor Galtz.
Whereas Ann Dorn has contributed 15 years of loyal service to the citizens of Washington County, and whereas Ann Dorn has chosen to retire from her present position of Economic Support Specialist in the Human Services Department, Now therefore be it resolved that the Washington County Board of Supervisors pause in its deliberations to pay tribute and to commend Ann Dorn for her 15 years of meritorious service. Be it further resolved that on behalf of all citizens of Washington County, this body does herewith extend to her heartfelt thanks for her many accomplishments and successes. Be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be forwarded to Ann Dorn as a token of appreciation on the part of this board.
We stand with our normal. (2021) Resolution 18, 2020 carryover request. Need a motion? Supervisor Mary, Supervisor Smisek. Are there any questions regarding this? This is pretty standard operating procedure. Seeing none, are we able to vote on electronically? Okay. All right, I think we can. Let's give it a try. I'm still locked. Yeah. The last one came up. Oh, it is. Okay. Everybody in?
We're missing one person.
One person, make sure you got it now? Three in it? Still one? All right, we got it. A motion passes unanimously. Partial veto of 2021 Resolution 11 amend 2021-2026 Capital Improvement Plan, CIP County Highway Projects, County Trunk Highway S. I'm going to have Attorney Stern advise how this is actually going to work.
No motion is required for this particular action of the board because by statute, a vote is required. I did include a memo in the packet. If anybody has any questions about that, I'd be happy to answer. But essentially, no need for a motion. We can go right to vote on this if the chair is ready for that.
Okay. So we need to, a positive vote is to uphold the veto, the partial veto.
A positive vote will essentially adopt what you originally had passed, the $500,000 figure. A no vote means you want to go to that $100,000 figure. So a yes vote overrides the veto.
Okay, does everybody understand where it's going? This is our first time with a veto?
And it is a 2/3 vote required to override the veto.
Yeah, so it's actually kind of backwards how this is working. A no vote upholds, a yes vote overrides. Okay, everybody good on that? Supervisor Bishop.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Because we want to send this back, we want to vote no, at least I want to vote no because I want this sent back. Who will be in charge of seeing this forward so that S doesn't get tossed to the side and nothing gets done again? Will this be going back to
It should be going back to Public Works.
public? But it won't, it's not going to die. I want to be
Correct.
sure that someone's
Correct.
in charge of making sure that it continues to move forward because S does need to be addressed.
Right.
And that's why we're allowing this veto.
Correct. The 100,000 is basically for the engineering study for the new proposal for S to make sure that since we're going to have more traffic moving on that road, we need to readdress it. And if it needs to be changed, okay.
And do we have a rough estimate on a timeline for when that rework will be done?
Do you have a timeline at all, Scott?
Are you referring to the physical work, construction work, or are you talking about the engineering work?
The engineering work, which leads to the construction work, and I know it needs to be put into the cup eventually, but
Well, let
That
me
when we-
put it
as
this
we
way.
move forward with
We were
the
out there with
engineering.
the engineers on the 24th.
Okay.
So But the construction work, you're probably not talking until 2024 at the earliest.
Okay, that's fair. So it's moving along.
Yes.
Thank you very much. I
Yes.
appreciate that.
Supervisor Schleif.
I'll share with you a letter that I wrote to Josh, urging him to do the partial veto. This order bothered me from the start, as it was passed by an emotional board without due consideration of all the safety factors and accurate projected traffic numbers. The only way the work on County S could result in a safe design would be with the decreased traffic numbers that would result if the County Highway W extension was done. With the agreement now that that project is off the table, it would be nearly useless to pursue the County Highway S relocation in its present form. What that means is it was designed for 200 cars a day, and it's probably going to see almost 2,000 more than that. So we need to go back to the drawing board and get it done right. Thus, I believe this partial veto of the relocation order is the best solution for now, allowing the county to look at all possible options for providing our citizens safe and efficient traffic flow in the area. So I will also be urging you to vote against this. Also, in our Public Works meeting last month, we voted unanimously to indefinitely postpone that resolution. So we've already stepped.
Thank you. Supervisor Mahalik.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My real concern is what I stated initially when I spoke as regards to S, that that is the one area that I'm the most concerned about, and that is to take the curve out, make it more of a 90-degree, that's all I'm looking at doing, or to have that done. And I made that clear, and I would like either Scott or Josh to talk about how just doing that is going to increase traffic to 2,000 cars. If you leave everything else alone, which apparently they're going to do anyway, how does just straightening out that one intersection to make it more of a 90-degree so we don't have the problem that I think it was Supervisor Gundrum and I drive through all the time and see that intersection, and that's the one thing, the only thing I was really interested in doing. How does that increase the number? And I go with Supervisor Bishop. I know we don't agree a lot, but on this particular one we do is I don't want to just put a match to $100,000 to do something only to go and die. I'm interested in just seeing that curve kind of straightened out a little bit and have the 90-degree angle versus the obtuse angle that we're dealing with right now, which I think is one of the main reasons it makes it a difficult intersection. And I can't see how that increases traffic at all. So that's why I'm very curious as to the response, if that's okay by the chairman, for the county executive or our director of Public Works to address that concern.
Address it.
Sure. The simple answer is the design that you voted on last month with the W extension assumed all the traffic was going to use the W extension, and it assumed only 200 vehicles a day were going to use the S curve that you just described. When you eliminated the W extension, any traffic that was going to use the extension would now use the S curve, which is what you had approved, which isn't designed for that traffic. It was designed for 200 vehicles a day. So that's the problem. We're not adding traffic to the area. You're adding traffic to that S curve that was intended to go through the extension.
My concern is if we're not touching anything else, if all we're doing is straightening out that one curve, help me out. Wait, you don't have the floor. So I guess I'm asking Scott, help me to understand why, if we're going to spend $100,000, why we're not just looking at straightening out that one intersection without doing the other stuff that was voted down, unfortunately. I'm not against this partial veto. It's just that if we're going to spend $100,000, I want there to be a possibility that curve in S can be modified enough to get us close to a 90-degree angle. That's really all I'm looking for.
Is it possible to pull up that, the map from last month while I'm trying to answer the question? That might help us. Thank you. What you approved in last month's meeting,
Sorry.
what you approved at last month's meeting at the end of that long process was you picked an arbitrary number to fund a portion of a design that was very complex. You chose to just do the intersection of S and 175, which was one component of about 3 or 4 components of the whole project. By taking all of the different turning movements off of 83 and the W extension and the intersection of S and 83 and pushing them all through S and 175, you create all of the traffic going to one spot. Yes, that's exactly what you do. Yes, that's what you would have done. Yes, it is.
Well,
You're helping me make my point.
hold
You're
on.
trying to be engineers on the floor of the county board. You're not engineers.
Okay, may I for just a second?
There is no plan.
Yeah.
There's no plan.
Everybody to order, please restrict your comments to when you're on the floor. I'll make a quick comment to Supervisor Mahalik. There was about between 900 and 1,200 cars that used S and 175 now. We're closing off 83 going north. There were about 1,200 to 1,400 cars that were going that way, correct? And there's no other place for them to go now except S. That was part of the resolution.
But if we're starting over and we're spending $100,000, then leave everything else alone and just fix it.
That's not what.
I'm not trying to be an engineer regardless of cute comments by our county executive. That's not what I'm trying to do. What I'm trying to do is say, if we're starting over, you've got us blank sheet, just take that and just fix S with a $100,000 plan, and that's, and you don't have to close anything else off, so you're not diverting any traffic to S. You're just making S a safer intersection.
We took the time.
That's flat out not true. The whole intersection was designed with all of the traffic that is coming from the north to go down to the W extension. If you do what's on that map right now, just like you just described, all the traffic you had been planning on sending down to W to make it safer is going to go through that little amendment, which is designed for 200 vehicles a day. No, the W extension where you're going to send all the traffic. Well, there's no other possible way to drive from the north to the south. There's no other way to get from Allenton to Hartford.
This is the quandary we find ourselves in when we try to do the engineering that takes over a year and try to do it in an hour and a half of discussion when we're not experts. Now we messed up by doing this. We messed it up because we didn't take into consideration. Now we're sending it back so the experts can fix it now. Okay? So we're not engineers. I don't know if anybody's got an engineering degree, but we do have engineers that can look at this and fix it now. But what we did is during our meeting, we closed 83, going up to 175, took W off the table, and routed everything up 83 to County Trunk Highway S. I mean, that's just what's going to happen. And now it's not built for that amount of traffic, so we have to send it back, have it re-engineered. Now, we could still probably make it safe by re-engineering it, but we're not going to re-engineer it and in our discussion on the floor, and we shouldn't be, So that's not part of our policy-making decision to do things like this. So, does that satisfy your question?
As good as I'm going to get within this meeting.
Okay, all right. Supervisor Conrath.
Yes, I would like to kind of clarify your statements that we messed up. We did not mess up. What we all ended up agreeing upon and voting on is that this would be relooked at as a whole. And that was people's understanding. We knew that just getting rid of W and then keeping all the rest of it wasn't going to work. We agreed upon that we should go back to Public Works and the experts, come up with a plan, a different, new plan to share with us for then us to decide upon and approve. And I have concerns too about just this $100,000 for re-engineering study, and then what? If this is such a big safety concern, why is this being pushed back then to 2024? I like the $500,000 amount so we can, get this re-engineering study, and then we have, I guess that's going to cost about $100,000 for engineering. Maybe I should have went into a different profession. But we need some money yet to do the fix. So that's concerning of me that it's only $100,000. Like I said, we need to get this done, right? It's supposedly a safety issue. We want to get it done correctly. We just don't want to kick the can down the road, as we had said in the past. And our citizens have spoken very clearly over the years that they don't want, anything else cutting through the fields or cutting through the county there. And we represent our citizens too, not just our own agendas and feelings. Even if I was for W, I couldn't vote for it because the community has spoken year after year, people who we represent who do not want this. So we have to figure out how to best reconfigure, like we all agreed upon last month, that intersection. And it concerns me only this $100,000. And that's why I would actually do a yes vote to support our original decision last month of the $500,000 amount, especially with increasing cost and construction and everything going up. I want a plan, I want it soon, and I want it taken care of for our community.
Okay, well, we actually have kicked the can down the road by making the decision we made. Because now we have to start over. But we were done. The studies were done and was ready to get going. So.
The vote was not done. The community had not spoken. We had not voted on it. It was not done.
Okay. Supervisor Bossert.
So I called asking for County Executive Showman to veto this, and the West Bend Daily News did a great job of their coverage of this. A different outlet sort of misrepresented this with a lot of information about County Highway W. So I'm going to read my letter, the same letter that was sent to all news sources, and I'm going to ask everybody here to count how many times I ask in this letter that we build Highway W. So I write, Dear County Executive Showman, I am writing to ask that you consider exercising your veto power to veto Resolution 11 as amended. The amended plan adds additional traffic to the intersection of Highway S and 175. It also creates new traffic patterns with traffic eastbound on Highway S now turning left on the Highway 175. The plans put forward by Highway Commissioner Scott Schmidt for Highway S were based on reducing traffic volume through that intersection to 200 cars a day. by instead increasing traffic through that intersection and adding a new traffic pattern, the plans will need considerable modification and the cost will be considerably higher than what the county board had approved on May 12th. I believe that our highway commissioner will have a similar perspective on this assessment. Additionally, there has been no public input on the plan the county board enacted last night. None of the neighbors who live in the subdivision to the east of the intersection were given any advance notice or opportunity to provide input on any plan that would increase traffic at that intersection. The only plan those neighbors had previously seen was a plan that would reduce traffic at that intersection to 200 cars a day. I therefore ask that you consider exercising your veto power to veto Resolution 11 as amended. Thank you for your consideration. Sincerely, Christopher D. Bossert, Washington County Board Supervisor, District 3. So I'm going to ask Chairman Krefeld to answer on behalf of everybody. How many times did I reference wanting to switch back to County Highway W in that letter?
Not at all.
Okay, none at all, not once. Nothing, and the reason I didn't is very simple. Once we made the policy decision to not do W, but instead to do the fix at S, W is off the table at that point. So we chose to move it to Highway S, to move everything to Highway S, to close down a section of 83 still. And I hear a lot of confusion on the board floor here as to what we even did last month. How can we say we're doing something good if we don't even fully understand what we're doing? I'm glad we have a county executive who could veto this. 2 years ago, if we'd have done this, that's it. That's what we're building, because that's what we told our county administrator to do. We now have a county executive who could veto this and bring some sanity back to this. If we vote yes to override his veto, we're saying we want to stick to a plan that was engineered for 200 cars a day. And any road engineer will tell you that you design a road differently for 200 cars a day than you do for 2,600 cars a day. And this intersection, with taking out 83 and with not doing the W extension, could see 2,600 cars a day. On the other hand, if we vote no, we're saying, let's do the responsible thing. Let's have a plan that's designed for what we actually want to do. And that could be an S-curve. It still could be an S-curve that comes out of it. But we also need to recognize that we actually have 4 safety issues at that intersection. In my conversations with Scott Schmidt, and I'll let Scott correct me if I'm wrong on any of these, one is the high number of cars that are crossing. Another is the limited visibility. A third one is the high speed that they're traveling at through that section. And a fourth one is the non-90 degree angle that those intersections are at. Now, did I misstate any? So we got 4 issues, and we chose a plan that addresses only one of those 4 issues. It keeps the limited sight lines. It keeps the high rate of speed, and it actually increases the traffic at the intersection that has the most cars running through it. And it creates new traffic patterns. We got traffic that would be going east on S that would now need to turn left on the 175. They would need maybe a turning lane. With all that new traffic, it would be irresponsible to continue with this plan. So last month, I said on the county board floor, I thought we made a bad compromise. I'm going to propose a good one here. I'm going to propose that we vote no on overturning the veto, and that we let our highway engineer work with Sewer PAC and work with the Traffic Safety Commission and work with the engineers that he contracts with to develop a good plan to make things safer at that intersection of Highway S and 175. And if we do that and they come back with a good plan, there's a high likelihood I'll vote for it. But we need to let the engineers do the engineering and not try to engineer a traffic plan on the county board floor. And we also need to understand that traffic plans are systems where highways work together. So if we take out one highway, that affects every other highway in the system. So that's my proposal for a good compromise. I've already heard some other supervisors who are thinking along the same lines, including Supervisor Bishop. I think that's the common sense approach to take at this point. Let's vote no on overriding this veto and develop a proper plan. All right, thank you.
Supervisor Krebs.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At last month's meeting, my intentions on sending
Please come
sending
to order.
back to committee
Please come to order.
last month, my intentions of sending back to the committee the relocation order of S was for the reexamination and the design of those intersections. Was it messy? Yes, that's because last month's meeting was run poorly and there was a lot of emotions that were at play in that meeting. So I would be supporting voting no of not overriding the line item veto, and let's get the engineering for just this north portion of the project done properly, and let's get the wheels back on the road per se of doing the highway projects the correct way. Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Kelly.
Okay, a question for Josh or Scott. Highway 83 from 175 down to County Highway S was closed or is being closed due to a previous resolution, correct? It was not part of Resolution 11. It was part of the whole transfer.
Incorrect. To drive your point home further, supervisors on the floor just contradicted themselves. 83 from 175 down to S in this resolution that you passed last month was eliminated. Therefore, all of the traffic from every direction would have been shoved through that small S intersection. That's what you did last month.
We got an even bigger mess than I thought.
Yes.
Okay, so in recognizing that 83 is closed according to this resolution from 175 down to S, that does...
Oh, I'm sorry. Just to be clear, if you want to look at it, it's line number 34 and 35 on the amended resolution, 2021 Resolution 11, page 1 of that resolution, line 34 and 35. The last 10 words or so, and the vacating of State Highway 83 roadway north of S.
Okay, so hopefully that at least clears up that that's where all that extra traffic is coming from that would be coming onto Highway S. And so therefore, just moving those sight lines really is not going to fix it because now you're pouring in a lot more traffic. When we disagree on Highway W, I think it was valid that, you know, you could have a political point of view that you don't want to go through with it, and that's fine. But when you go on the floor and just fundamentally change a resolution and start adding dollar amounts without consulting with the attorney, without consulting with the highway commissioner, and just putting something together, you come up with this mess. As far as I'm concerned right now, Josh Showman, you just handed him $500,000 with no real plan. Okay, you had good intentions, but that's all you had was a pocket full of intentions. If it wasn't for Josh Showman over there, if it was a Tony Evers type or something like that, he'd take the $500,000 and buy hats for dogs in Washington County because he could, because it's so poorly written. Because you didn't stop to think. You didn't trust your experts. That is your highway commissioner. He works for you. Okay, he's the expert. He tells you what you need when you come up with, say, we want to do something, make it safer. He came up with a plan. It was a safe plan. You didn't go for it, fine. You don't redo it and start coming up with your own ideas on what you think traffic is going to be. That's the expert. Go to him and talk to him. When you draw up a resolution, you go to your expert attorney to draw up a resolution that has maps and plats and plans. You don't just whip money on the table and go, well, we have good intentions. You do it by the book.
And that's what we failed to do here, and we created this mess, and it was an embarrassment. It was an absolute embarrassment what happened. And it should never have happened. But you let your emotions get in check with you. You had 40 people here that were upset. I get that, and you got frightened or intimidated or whatever. That's fine too. Or maybe you just didn't believe in it. I'm okay with all of that. What I'm not okay with is when you throw your expert under the bus and tell him he doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. That really angered me. It should never have been done. And we need to be a lot more careful that we know what we're doing going forward. So I say right now, the best course that we have is to go ahead and vote no. Take the $100,000, do the study. Pam, to your point, when Supervisor Conrath, excuse me, when that study comes back, that's when we add in the money, and that's when we redesign the project. So you will have another crack at this. That's doing it correctly. We are all here to take care of the people. We are not here to start drafting our own legislation on the floor. Okay, vote it up, vote it down, then go start asking questions. We can table it. We can postpone it. We can do a bunch of things. But this is what happens when you're not being careful. I apologize for my forceful tone, but this really upset me. We need to be more professional than this. We're better than this. We should do better than this. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Supervisor Kruger-Gundrum.
Quite frankly, Supervisor Bossert and Supervisor Kelling, I was very clear when I spoke. I was very clear in stating that the extension from 175 to 83 is what I thought we were eliminating, not the extension from S to 175. And that the other little jog that on the top that we're talking about right now was only to get to those neighbors in that area and to eliminate 175 to 83, that little slide that makes nobody goes. I'm not engineering it. I'm just saying nobody slows down on 175 when they go on to 83. They're going 50, 55, 60 miles an hour, and that's what makes S dangerous. But to your comment that we were not careful, I was very clear. I was very clear, and there are times when I think that the engineer could have said, well then, Lois, are you expecting that W is going to continue down to 175? Because I was very clear to say people are going to go down W to 175 and then down to K. And you argued with me on that. And now after the fact, you're coming back and saying we didn't understand what we were doing. Looking at this now, somebody, and especially our engineer, could have said something that then your resolution needs to be changed, Lois, to match what you're saying. And to that, he did not.
Well, call the order, please. Point of order.
He did not say to me,
Supervisors,
Lois, what you're requesting is not going to be in this resolution as written.
Please, don't address each other as supervisors, please. You need to address the chair. We don't want to make it personal.
I apologize.
It's fine. It's fine.
I apologize, but I believe that both of them called us idiots.
No.
You didn't say the word idiot. You certainly made me feel that way.
All right, let's move on.
I wasn't done. I would just want to say that when these discussions get heated, and it certainly was, and there was a lot of emotion in there, I did expect that our expert would have said something that my whole entire thought line, and I believe it was probably Supervisor Conrad's idea too, that it was going to continue from S all the way down to 175 in both directions.
Okay. Supervisor Chaudron.
For this very reason that we're all confused, we got to vote no and send it back for the engineering to fix. Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Schulteis.
Yes, being new, I just wanted to comment on our attorney's document, and I don't know if the part where the furthermore discussion should be limited to the merits of adopting the resolution and should not afford an opportunity for the board to once again debate the pros and cons of the underlying project or any portion thereof. Can you help address that? Is that what we're doing?
That's what we're doing, yes.
And it
Yep.
seems as if we
Yep.
have gone around
Yep.
and around and
Where
enough now.
The question to us is, should we go ahead with redesigning the intersection that we've decided to have the highway commissioner do? Or are we going to override it and go back to where we were? It seems that everyone agrees that it needs to go back for engineering. The $100,000 should take care of the engineering. Once they do the engineering, then they'll put together a final bill, what it's going to cost for construction. Then we'll have to allocate money for that when that happens. So we are in a sense beating a dead horse here. I'm allowing a lot of the conversation to go on to get people get it off their chest, but it really doesn't merit as much discussion and consternation as we're having. So we'll have a couple more. We have not heard from Supervisor Marquardt, so you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to respond to the statement that we didn't know what we were doing, because I knew perfectly well what we were doing. The fact that we did not proceed with the relocation orders that went along with that resolution meant that it was going back to design and that would have to all be looked at again. I also object to the idea that this was designed for 200 cars per day, because to me that would be a gravel road. A path could handle 200 cars a day. We wouldn't need a S-curve type thing here. So yes, it does need redesign. We should vote no and look forward to it getting back to us as soon as possible. Thank you.
Supervisor Conrath.
Yes, I just want to, since I was called out, make it very clear of what we all stated last month. Supervisor Gundrum has just said that, and Marquardt and others, that this was our intention to reconfigure that and have the experts handle it. We did not create a mess. We represented our community and requested a different alternative that was still safe. And that was all our intentions last month. And so it appears that we all agree upon that. I just want to make sure that this no vote of only, this $100,000 will go back to engineering, and that this will be a quicker turnaround, and that because it's such a big safety concern, that this is kind of, expedited and taken care of sooner than later. Yeah, I don't want it to be 2024 for ground to be breaking on this.
Okay, thank you. Supervisor Kelling, did you want to call a question?
I've been called.
Questions being called? Supervisor, you got to,
I've been recognized.
okay. All right.
And I only wish to clarify. First of all, I did not call anybody an idiot, and I will defy anybody to go ahead and bring back the tape. Thank you. I appreciate that. What my real point was is that you can have good intentions, but because this was not crafted properly and was not done the proper way, it came back bad. So you can't just throw something out there. So that was where I'm at with that. I'm not trying to single you out or anything like that. You have to do it the right way. So that's it. Thank you.
Supervisor Gonner, you have the last word.
Yes, thank you. Well, everybody today said okay to the minutes of our last meeting. Did they not? Say it to yourself. Because in those minutes, and I'm going to read line 41 through 48, it says exactly what that motion was. It's by Mr. Markward, seconded by Mr. Krebs, to amend the 2021 Resolution 11 as follows. Line number 9, crossed off, County W and. Line number 26 and 27, crossed off, believes the extension of W between State 175 and State 83, along with the realignment of. Okay? Line number 34, well, the price tag. They crossed off 2,550,000, put in 500,000. So far, it sounds like they knew what they wanted in there. Now, were the prices right? I don't know. Okay. Line number 35, extension of County W between 175 and State Highway 83. And then line 36, they left in the word projects, and then they added, and the vacating of State Highway 83 roadway north of County S. So it is there. We don't need somebody shaking their finger at all of us or anything like that. It's in the minutes, people. Line 41 is another place where they had the 2,550,000 and they put in 500,000. Everything was there. Okay? Now, at the public meeting and that for the highway department, they stopped doing any work whatsoever on it. According to Brad, it was okay to do that. I really don't agree with it, Brad. I think you're going to have a problem with Robert's Rules of Order. I'm not a professional on it.
That's correct, you're not. And with all due respect, the motion at the Highway Committee was whether or not they could postpone that motion indefinitely, and they did, and that's within Robert's rules. Now, if it causes any issues for other resolutions and so forth, that's beyond the scope of that motion.
Right. Okay. So now this here, by doing 100,000 now, is that giving the okay for the engineers to come up with a policy, or not a policy, but a new route, a new everything, so that it comes back up to 2,550,000 to redo that road? Is that what is trying to be done here? I don't know. I don't know what the background is of what's going to happen here. I know what was asked to happen back in 2019 by myself was some relocation of those intersections back then because they said they were so bad, but nothing ever got done. 2017 was the same. So now we're in 2021, and it looks like they might be doing the same, not doing anything. So I would have to say, in my own mind, whose hands got bloody? I don't know. Because 2017 it started. And I was on this mic, or a mic like it, at that time, asking for something to be done. 2019 the same. And we asked for it last month. So this, here it is, 500,000 was put in there. Whether they use 100,000 of it or what, it can still be brought back. It doesn't say it can't be brought back. It doesn't say that you have to finish it with 500,000. It doesn't say anything like that. It says go back and do. Okay, thank you.
Okay, we're going to be voting on this electronically. No votes carry. The missing one. Somebody didn't vote. Got it. All right, what's the count? The veto is upheld, partial veto is upheld. 2021 ordinance 4, amend section 15-28 relating to executive committee. Need a motion to accept? Supervisor Mary, Supervisor Pollak. Any questions regarding this? Hearing none. We'll vote on this electronically. We have made a motion, yeah. Motion second. Oops. Motion passes unanimously. Oh, somebody didn't vote. On this, huh? Vote's been taken. All right. Okay. Action on community development block grant administrator contract. Need a motion to accept. Supervisor Schleif, Supervisor Schulteis. Is there any discussion on this? Hearing none. We'll vote on this electronically. It's unanimous. Approved. Next meeting date, Wednesday, July 14th, 2021 at 6 p.m. Again, for the meeting following, as you can see, it's not even 7 o'clock yet. I should expect everyone to attend. If everyone doesn't have at least 2 hours blocked off for this meeting tonight, expect to see everyone in attendance here up in 2024, right from this meeting. If there's anybody that needs assistance, the elevator is down. If anybody needs assistance, see Mary, and she'll take care of you. We're adjourned. Thank you.